check it all out. When you
Did you try switching it to extend maybe?
Really?
Have you tried to drag the windows left or right? Try to drag it left.
Really?
There it is. So it's to your right.
Okay.
Yeah, it's weird how it says duplicate, but it's really extend. So
Yeah. Okay. Company email. That's what
City of Warsaw is, right? Company?
Yeah. Oh, really?
Okay, welcome everyone. It is November. How many of you have not raked your leaves yet? I'm waiting for that last tree, all those leaves to come down. Let's take a look at the oral or written communications, the meeting minutes from September 4th. Please review and we'll vote to approve or change them. Any discussion?
There's no discussion. I would move that we accept the minutes as written.
Thank you, Jack. We need a second.
I'll second.
Who did that? Louis? Oh, Jason, okay. I knew that voice came from over there. Thank you. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. All right, motion carried. Move to unfinished business. Aaron Ott, you've been looking into this for us for the Bison Lane all-way stop at the alley intersection. Is it time to move on that?
Well, maybe. So there is this intersection that's come up before, and it's uncontrolled, and it is an alley which intersects with a roadway, and neither of them see much traffic, except maybe in unusual circumstances, they might see some traffic. And we have a local resident who lives there who we have to rely on for a lot of these observations that take place, because I can go sit out there any given time for hours and I might not see a single vehicle to use to evaluate what might be the best way to improve the situation. So the reality is, according to the MUTCD, the warrant that would make this something we could just go right out and put either stop signs, yield signs, or whatever, is if we've had 2 crashes in the past year. We haven't had a single crash, is my understanding, so this puts us under the basis of engineering judgment. And I don't dismiss that there could be something better here, and maybe there is a lot of close calls taking place, and maybe we're needing to be proactive before a close call actually becomes a crash. So in looking at it, there's different tiers that we could do that I think would improve the safety out here. And following the logic of the MUTCD, when you're dealing with an uncontrolled intersection, and I'm going to not try to go too far sideways, we're already stretching the definition of an intersection because it's an alley. And then it's a street that's got a street name, but it's not really designed as or operated as a street either. But I think we'll all know, you can probably go around and there's random alleys around the town that for some reason have some sort of signage put up there, and I'm going to speculate that came out of a crash happening or the local residents raising concern, and maybe, I don't know the history, and if any of this board has been part of those decision makings, but they do exist. It's not wrong to, but there's really no great guidance that tries to bring in, and you don't want to start over-regulating, I suppose, is part of the theory of how I understand it. And what you want to be careful of is that you don't implement a traffic solution that's going to impede the common flow and the best flow of traffic, which in this situation, we don't have that yet because there's not enough traffic out there to worry about what we would impede by doing anything. And so that's where you go start at what I've got here under my draft is what could be step one solution that you try, and then if that doesn't do it, which I'll get into that more specifically, but that is a yield sign for one direction of traffic here. And you work your way up into fully making it an all-way stop or an all-way yield if that's what the judgment suggests is going to provide the outcome that we're looking for. So as I'm looking at it, because of the different uniquenesses of it, we can go either way because there are sight distance concerns. There's absolutely, the more vehicles that start traveling this, the more likelihood of a crash happening. And, I do like to take the proactive approach where we can, even though the tools we're given to work with are a little more of a reactive tool, where if you've had this many crashes or encounters, then here's the solution you do. So, but I'm comfortable going wherever we think we need to based on, I want to hear what Officer Beam and any others who have had direct encounters with this property owner. I've spoken to him. I understand what they see happening out here. And I do think we can make it better, but we're not trying to control speeds. These are alleys. These should already be low speed travels. I'm looking at it from the safety of, can you visually see if there's no traffic control whatsoever and vehicles are all just driving at their 10, 15 miles per hour, is there still enough time to react to them as you see them? So
Maybe I can give a little background on this. When we had US 30 going through this road, this alleyway going west was common to be used traffic. I mean, there was traffic all the time.
Okay.
People tried to, beat Center Street or Fort Wayne Street, and they'd go through that alley and then go out to US 30 going west from there. But since we've had US 30, the highway, I don't know that we have that same problem.
I feel like from what I've heard, when we maybe have a concert or another event at our park, this sees some flows of people using that as they're in and out to get to the park. And there is going to be future development. So the other comment I have about whatever we do here today, I think it's a temporary situation until the development that we're expecting to see along here does happen. And I know, I understand it's not happened at the pace we might have thought it was going to originally, but I feel like eventually there's going to be several more residential units that tie up to that north end of Bison Lane, and will be coming in and out of there.
Larry, I know I've spoke with the resident as well, and the main concern, if I understood him right, is the speed of the westbound traffic coming off of Buffalo, correct?
Yeah, that's what I understood.
And you're
too.
proposing putting a yield sign that would be heading to the south on Bison Lane, yielding to the westbound traffic coming across, is that what I'm
No,
understanding?
yielding the westbound. That yield sign is meant to serve westbound traffic, the one-way traffic that's coming westbound from Buffalo to Lake.
Okay.
Part of my logic with that is because that's the alley, not the roadway.
Right.
Even though that might see way more vehicles than the roadway. So these are all the little nuances that we've created here that make it interesting when you pull up the MUTCD and start applying it. to this, because you want to favor the roadway that has the most traffic. You don't want to impede, or you don't want to yield or stop that movement, per se. You would want to yield or stop
Is that-
the least.
Is that alley westbound one way?
It is one-way westbound, correct. So that's what allows us to accomplish this with just possibly a single sign situation here. And then making the assumption that the Bison Lane traffic free flows, even though the narrowness of Bison Lane prohibits some of that but naturally. The least safe movement, sight distance-wise, is southbound along Bison Lane, which is also probably the least traveled direction of all these as well, so.
And there is not a visionary problem there, going,
No, and
since it's one way
if you
going
scroll
out.
down, I have some recent photos that I think represent what you see there, and this is where, this is the top one is the westbound one, where I'm proposing there would be a yield sign possibly placed there. Yeah, that looking north, which the northbound there you can see pretty well with northbound, other than when maybe trucks might be parked in that parking lot on the left side there.
I know I had some concerns expressed to me once from the dental office there about people really speeding through there, and their fear because some of their parking was the angle parking across the way, that somebody would get hit.
There's other signage that aren't exactly intersection control. There's warning signage that could go up to try to grab somebody's attention. Cross traffic does
This
not
is
stop.
basically an alley intersection, right? Where you got two alleys intersecting.
Yeah.
And one's a glorified alley.
Yeah.
Almost a
Yeah.
street.
Which one's?
North-south is technically a road.
That's,
Yeah.
and it's
That's
narrower
Bison.
than the alley.
And maybe the good point, is Bison Lane still carry further north, or
Yeah.
is it Bison Lane just to the alley?
No,
I don't know
Bison
if
Lane
that's
goes from
exactly
north to the
relevant
alley.
too much, but I wasn't sure.
I think what you proposed, Aaron, makes sense with the yield sign, because people naturally do it when the hierarchy is more clear. When you're pulling out of an alley or a private drive, you are expected to yield to the vehicles that are traveling on the road. So since the hierarchy is not clear here, and most people would just assume it's an alley intersection, I think putting a yield sign would maybe help make that more clear to motorists that are westbound.
Yeah, that's the same logic that I was thinking with it, Justin. And my thoughts are, if we still aren't getting the results we would want from this, we could go to 3 yield signs at this thing, and then we could even go to stop signs after that, and that starts becoming an enforcement. What do we want to be able to enforce versus, or are we going to enforce it, or are we just hoping putting these signs out there and get us the results that we want out there?
generally, we don't sit on alleyways to enforce traffic, to be honest with you. We just don't.
Interesting.
We've got bigger fish to fry. So, looking from my perspective, I would just want to avoid crashes. And, we haven't had any crashes. So, the intersection's kind of serving its purpose, but there's also an issue. And I think we should be able to make it more clear on what roadway, like Justin was saying, yields to, what road yields to Bison Lane. So I like this idea. I think it's simple. I think we should, I'd be open to giving it a try.
And I could, I'll add to that, within a week, I can have the formal study and recommendation ready for a file, so that, I guess I'm unsure of the full sequencing of doing this the right way, getting the sign approved before the sign is actually placed and whatnot, so I'll revert to you guys. But from the standpoint of having the engineering study complete within a week, I could have that to the point where I'm comfortable with that being public record and whatnot, and used as our support for this decision making.
Dustin, typically, we have signs put up after they're approved by city council, correct?
Well, we've approved them through this board and then sent them to a council meeting to be put into ordinance. So, yeah, I guess I would not have a problem. I mean, a yield sign is more of it's different than a stop
Suggestion.
sign. Yeah, it's more of a
Do yield signs
suggestion
have to go to
sign.
council?
I would not think
I
so.
don't think they do, do they?
I don't think so.
No, I think that would still be classified as a warning sign. So, I mean, I would not have a problem. I know this intersection is something that has challenged us for a while. So, something that to give it a try to see if it improves. Again, it may not be a permanent solution once some more development and things in the area, more traffic perk up, but also the whole complex of the situation may change drastically by that point too, so we can address that when it goes. But I would definitely be in support of what Aaron's suggestion is here to see if that would work for a temporary basis and or a temporary solution rather. And like I said, we can go ahead and get that scheduled if the board votes on that and decides that that's what we want to do. I think the street department can handle adding that sign without too much problem.
Knowing that a yield sign does not require a stop, the neighborhood people still may be calling in for speeding, but hopefully this will slow them down enough that they won't have to call in for a speeding vehicle. Okay, any other discussion on this? Can someone,
I think Dustin made the motion. I think
that's his motion?
That's how I interpret it.
So moved. All right, we have a second on that motion.
I'll second it.
Thank you, Jack. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. That's our recommendation. Thank you, Aaron, for your time.
For the benefit of the commission, if just speeds continue to be the problem, we've had other locations we talk about, but we can come in there with, it doesn't require the engineering study, but we can go put some speed control, humps, bumps, whatever some of the different technologies are. And that will slow people down. That'll also give our street
Well, and
department
maybe-
challenges to
Yeah, I was just gonna say, thanks for that. Thanks for that idea, Aaron.
And maybe winter time will take care of that with all the potholes and things.
Yeah, I hope to. So anyway, that's just, yeah, Dustin, you're welcome.
Either put in
All the
speed
other
bumps or
alleys are in
don't
good
take out
shape.
potholes.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
All right, thank you, Aaron. Let's move on down to citizen requests or concerns. Can you address that, Mr. Beam?
We had a complaint of speeding vehicles on Main Street in the area of Cook Street. And you should have, I think I attached it, the speed survey that I did. Maybe if I can find it. So, and this is just to be transparent. Maybe. There we go. All right, the average speed over on Main Street was 22 miles an hour. I'll make that look pretty for you, Dave. Was 22 miles an hour. It looks like 1,700 cars are going through Main Street daily. So break that down, so then we have how many cars are actually going over the speed limit. And this first one was at 10 miles an hour, so that was they were going over 10 miles an hour, it was 0.2% of the vehicles. So that changes to over 5 miles an hour, and we're still at 1.6%. So 98.4% of the vehicles are not speeding.
Sometimes 30 mile per hour seems faster than it actually is.
Yes.
On a tight road and traffic, possibly children in the area. Okay?
Any questions on that?
This is just for the benefit of people coming, trying to get off of Cook Street onto Main.
Yes,
Yeah.
I believe.
Okay?
It seems to be under control, according to your data.
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
If that is the case, if southbound traffic is having trouble getting onto Main, southbound traffic on Cook, there could be, and I haven't been out there in a while, but there's some visual barriers that could be addressed in the right of way. I see some plant material on Street View. So I'll drive past that and see if there's anything that could or should be done as far as visibility.
Yeah, 'cause we did have that issue east of that area. We had a couple complaints around, it was like Maple. It wasn't Maple, but
Fort Wayne and Maple.
Yeah, I think the visibility might be more the issue.
Any other?
Probably getting better right about this time of year.
Yeah.
You might wait till some time.
Any other concerns, citizen complaints?
Who was the one person driving 5? like,
probably
like,
a bike.
like what were they
So
doing?
I have it set to
Cycling.
collect data starting at 5,
Okay.
because sometimes people do go slow.
Yeah.
And then I actually shut the sign off at 45, so we don't play. Let's see how fast the sign can go. Because if I was a 16-year-old kid, that's what I would do. Don't print that.
Or a police officer?
Take out all the juicy stuff.
All right, anything else on that topic? New business. We received information from NDOT that they lowered the speed limit on State Road 15 south of Warsaw from Rosella, between Rosella and 300 South. That previously, from that point forward, was 55. Actually, it started about Southtown or something like that, at 55.
Yes, just south of town.
They looked at all of that information, and they changed all of that all the way to 300 to be consistent with people pulling out and other things, all the traffic from the sides, addition there and everything, to 50 mile an hour, plus with the curves, and a kind of a blind intersection there at 300 South, coming out from the Goose Lake. So just wanted to let us know that that was changed. So I'm driving a bus. I don't go over 45 or 50 there because, you know, all those cars pulling out. It is kind of tough, so.
You want me to look?
No, you don't. need to.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Thank you. He's referring to the cameras that are on the bus, and he can check my data.
I'm sure you're accurate.
Yeah. Pretty close. Any questions or discussion on that? Nope. All right. We thanked NDOT for their contribution to that. Committee and planning reports. Do we have any planning reports? Justin, anything? Nope. Okay. Ordinance updates, Jack? Nothing yet?
Nothing yet. I don't anticipate anything until after the first of the year, probably spring, after they get out and start looking again.
Anything new on the downtown issues, parking or anything?
So the parking, we've been, we had a good turnout for our pre-bid meeting for the parking consultant. We had, I believe, 9 companies express interest, 6 showed up to the pre-bid. And then 4 were selected for a secondary interview, which we took a day and heard an hour presentation from each of those consultants. We're in the process of finalizing their proposals so that we can review them and see. Most of it's the technology side, so making sure PD is comfortable with the technology side, but they're all about the same as far as turnkey. So there'll just be decisions that need to be made on which vendor we choose. And then the implementation and the changes that happen to the parking ordinances downtown will all go before council. So we're having our consultant take a look at that for us as well. So we could make a presentation to this board to make sure there are no issues with what's being proposed, and then this board can make a recommendation to council for those proposed changes. So ultimately, it will end up at council. So yeah, just going through the steps right now with those consultants, and that selection process is where we're at. So.
And if I have any issues from merchants, I just get a hold of Joel and we work back and forth on those, so.
Very good. Okay. Other matters that might come before the board.
So I do have one thing. In life, there's 2 things that I really do not like. I don't like change, and I also don't like goodbyes. And we have had the pleasure of working with Sergeant Louis Fuller for 15 years at the Warsaw Police Department. He served as traffic commissioner for the last 10 years. Sergeant Fuller is going to be moving on to the Columbia City Police Department, where he's going to be a school resource officer in the school that his kids attend. Just a great move. You know, looking back at not only his friendship, but the man that he is. He's a godly man with integrity. And if I could clone Louis Fuller and have an applicant fill that role, I would take them every day. Louis, you're going to be missed, and I appreciate your service to the city and also to Warsaw schools.
Thank you very much.
Columbus City's gain is our loss.
Thank you. Yeah, it's I appreciate those words, Joel. It's a bittersweet move, but just one of those things that presented itself. It was quick, out of the blue. I was not looking for a move. I really enjoy Warsaw PD and the Warsaw Community Schools. It's kind of like my second home. But that being said, Columbia City has always been near and dear to my heart, and the opportunity to be in the schools with my kids. I have some nephews there as well as I coach there. I coached there for 10 years, so knowing that school system and the people there as well, it's always been close to me. So it was just an opportunity I didn't think I could turn down at where I'm at, and it's bittersweet. I really enjoy this place a lot, but also looking forward to being home and being with my kids and players.
Excuse me.
So we are working on
Broke me up a
replacing
little bit.
Louis in the school, and I've said this before, we're going to have big shoes to fill his replacement. They're actually in training right now, and we're looking at replacing him on this board as well, and we'll make that announcement probably next month, or our next meeting.
Speaking of the next meeting, since we didn't have a meeting in October, do we need one in December? Is there know of anything that might be an agenda item that we need to talk about before the start of the year?
I have none.
Hearing none, I would
I'd go with
suggest that
January.
we go with January 8th. We don't want it on the first Wednesday, which is January 1st. So it'll be January 8th, then is our next meeting. Same time, same place, with possibly a new board member. Any other discussion?
Sure, a quick note. I believe most of the board members know, so through MACOG right now, they've been working on Safe Streets evaluation, Safe Streets for All program and a study. They are finalizing mapping of what they're calling the high-risk, high-injury network of streets. That seemingly will be some information that I feel like this board will want to have a chance to see, and maybe if we can, once it all comes together, I don't know if we can get someone from MACOG, or it could be myself or one of the other city reps that have been staying in touch with this as it's getting finished. But the last meeting takes place in December, and then from there, I think they'll publish what they're deeming our high risk, high injury roadway network. And that may guide us towards certain decisions that are discussed and made amongst this board, as well as the capital improvement projects that the city chooses to take on to make our city safer, systemically safer, is the theory there.
This is general guidelines rather than something specific for Warsaw, correct?
Yeah, well, they're studying the whole four-county network, but we're getting, Kosciuszko County is centered around the Warsaw area, because that's where most of the traffic is. The information thus far is pretty practical. It's not groundbreaking. The more traffic that a road sees, the higher risk it's generally hitting at. But there are some things that maybe will stand out to some of us as we look at it, and it might get us to start asking questions. How did that land on the high risk network, and what does that mean? What can we possibly do about it to not consider it as high of a risk as it's being categorized as? So just wanted to share that's information coming down. I'll make sure it gets funneled to you guys as it comes out, and we can decide how we want to introduce it to this commission and whatnot as a whole. So.
Sounds good. Thank you, Aaron. Any other matters come before the board?
I'd like to remind everyone about the intersection closure at 200 North and Husky Trail. I believe it might be shut down right now or will be soon.
It is.
NIPSCO's going to,
Oh, it's shut down.
okay. Just to remind everybody to avoid that area if at all possible. NIPSCO's going to be working there for a while.
I saw a sign from there that says one lane only. Does that allow you to go out from the
I've not tried it, so
west going east?
So the initial map, I haven't been up there since they put the closure in effect, but there was a map that was posted on social media that showed that Pound Drive would, is it Pound? Would stay
Okay,
open,
so
so that
Pound
would,
is
allow
west.
you to go south and then west. If you were doing local, that was primarily local, but in theory, you could go south and then head west on Pound and then connect into 200 there. Whether or not so that should still be open, but that wouldn't allow you to go south and then east through that intersection, if that makes sense.
And going north out there, everything's shut off.
Correct.
So if you take a left at Menards, you will drive 3/4 of a mile and then turn around. Because that's how I went home
Unless your
last night.
destination is
Yep.
the school or something. Okay. Thank you. Any other matters that may come before the board? All right. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Thank you, Cindy.
second.
Thank you, Jack. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? All right. Thank you. We'll see you next year, officially.
So like, okay, that was a council meeting, but it doesn't show the traffic commission. Congratulations.
That's because I don't think you put the traffic commission meeting on City Plus, do you?
What,